Hi, I'm Scott Noonan, CEO of Audio Advice. Anthem home theater receivers have been an Audio Advice favorite for the past few years. If you were to ask anyone in our stores what brand of receiver sounds the best for the money, almost all are going to say Anthem, and for good reason. Anthem has concurrently released 2 new surround sound processors and 3 new receivers, all using the same base software and hardware platform. There are also matching amplifiers in the same lineup to pair with the surround sound processors. This video is focused on the 3 home theater receivers. I'm going to go over all the cool features and talk about how these products performed during our tests, but if we didn't quite answer all your questions in this video, you can check out our full written review on Anthem's new receivers that we've linked down below. If you also want to learn about the amplifiers or the processors, there are links in the description of this video. For those of you who have been Audio Advice customers for a while, you know that we don't waste time making videos on bad products. Every once in a while, though, we come across a game changer. I'm going to cut to the chase and tell you that these receivers are simply fantastic. Audio Advice has been working with Anthem for over a year on the implementation and testing of the features, and they really nailed it. The prior versions already sounded great, so it was hard to believe that Anthem could make them even better for roughly the same cost, but they did. When they upgraded all of their separate power amps, they came up with several new circuit ideas they also applied to the new receivers. In this video, I'm first going to talk about the technology the units share, then go over the differences to help you determine which new Anthem receiver is best for your system. We've always felt the Anthem MCA amps sounded great for the money, and when they redid the amps, they utilized improved output transistors and also updated the analog circuits. These same types of audio improvements were then applied to the new receivers. Anthem receivers have always had a similar sound as separate components with a full, rich, and warm sound that had fantastic bass impact. For those of you who are just getting into this, DAC stands for Digital to Analog Converter, and it's what converts the zeros and ones to analog audio signal that you actually hear. So these DACs determine the quality of the sound. Power amp matrixing is something we really pushed Anthem to add to these new receivers, and they delivered. All 3 of the new receivers have more processing channels on board than they have amp channels. In the past, if you wanted to add a separate power amp to an Anthem receiver to better power your main speakers for 2-channel listening, you had to just waste the existing amp channels for the left and right. With amp matrixing, you can assign unused channels to zone 2, height, or surround channels, which is super cool. In our tips and tricks video that we send out to all Audio Advice purchasers, I cover how to most easily utilize the amp matrixing. Since rooms have such a big impact on sound, most receivers today have some kind of room calibration software. I've personally used most of them, and I can tell you that Anthem Room Correction, or ARC, is one of the best, if not the best, on the market. The difference it can make in most systems is just stunning. After you run ARC on your system, you will notice the dialogue is much clearer and it is easier to pick up the subtle emotional details in the performers' voices. Bass is much tighter and more accurate. Plus, every sound is much more separated from the others, pulling you even closer into the soundtrack. About a year ago, Anthem had a big free update to ARC and is now called ARC Genesis. This year, ARC Genesis has been improved to allow you to send a full range signal to your main speakers while simultaneously also rolling off bass to the subs. However, the big advancement that you get with the new receivers is a beefier and better microphone. I've personally calibrated my own theater room with ARC Genesis and my Martin Logan 2-channel setup, so that should tell you what I think about Anthem Room Correction. And by the way, I've already purchased my own Anthem from the new lineup. Every Anthem receiver comes with an ARC kit that includes the microphone, stand for the microphone, and connecting cables. I can tell you from experience with other room correction systems, the quality of the microphone can make a huge difference in the final outcome. Not only is the mic itself better, but the mic now even has a small dot you point towards the front of the room so the system knows how to pick up spatial information from the test tones. So if making your room sound a lot better was not great enough, Anthem gives you something even more special. There are 4 settings for ARC. That might not sound too groundbreaking, but let's think about some use cases for a second. This means you could have multiple different setups, so you could have the best sound when it's, for instance, just you watching by yourself in the center of the room, all of the way to when you have an entire family enjoying a movie across all seats. That's pretty powerful and a super cool feature. On the streaming side, Anthem has removed DTS Play-Fi and gone with everything you will need for the best possible streaming experience. The new receivers all have Chromecast, AirPlay 2, and Bluetooth, as well as Spotify Connect and Roon certification at launch. For those of you who have set up a lot of processors, you know how much time it takes to scroll through the menus and set up input names, etc. After having set this up in my own theater, what I realized is the web interface is just incredible on these, and there's so much you can do. So what I did was I created one of our famous tips and tricks videos, and I set it up in a way that you can literally just watch me walk through all of the setup that you can do. And in that, I'm essentially giving you not just what you can do, but also what are the recommended settings, what does Audio Advice think you should do, and what are sort of the little neat things that most people probably would skip. For those of you who are already Audio Advice customers, you know we send these tips and tricks videos out to customers with a lot of our products. So know that I've gone over the top on this one to really make it powerful. Another bonus is all the new units do updates over the web and it works seamlessly. Anthem pulled in the design from their award-winning STR series for the new receivers. One big plus of this design is they now have a multi-line front display, which means it's super easy to set things up from the front panel, although it's still way easier to use the web interface. Every single receiver has 7 HDMI inputs for great flexibility and is compatible with Dolby Vision and supports IMAX enhanced video. They all also have 5 analog inputs, 2 coax digital, and 3 Toslink. When you get into assigning video to audio inputs, the new receivers are just super flexible. You can assign the audio and video from an HDMI into a named input, but you can also mix and match with up to 30 virtual inputs. What this means is that you could create your own custom input where you assign, for instance, HDMI 1 from a satellite box video feed of a football game while simultaneously using a radio feed from a local station for the audio. And so I show you how to do this in the tips and tricks video. Let's now take a look at what each of the receivers offers. The base level MRX540 delivers 100 watts per channel to 5 channels. However, it does have 7 channels of processing with Dolby Atmos, so you could add a power amp to get 5.2.2, or better yet, add the great new Anthem MCA225 for your main speakers and reroute the front channels to the Atmos height channels. Now you've got a killer stereo setup and 7 full Atmos channels. If you're not sure exactly what all this 5.2.2 means, jump over to audioadvice.com and we've got a full video explaining all the different nomenclature, and we've also linked it in the description. The MRX740 is the model I think will be our most popular one. It has 7 powered channels built in, offering 140 watts per channel. The amp section is a lot beefier than the MRX540, so you will get better dynamics and speaker control with the MRX740. However, the processor in the MRX740 can decode 11.2 channels and has preamp outputs for all 11.2 channels. This means you could start out with a 5.2.2 system with the MRX740, then later add another pair of Atmos and a pair of rears for a super immersive Dolby Atmos surround sound system. The MRX740 adds Zone 2 audio and video outputs for sending both sound and picture over to another room. When you consider how good the MRX740 sounds with its great features, this is probably the best audio value on the market for home theater. The MRX1140 uses the same amp section as the MRX740, but has 11 powered channels on board. It can, however, decode up to 15.2 channels and has preamp outputs for every channel. That's impressive. Like the other models, you can reroute the amp channels any way you want when you add on a separate power amp. Even though they have the same amp section, the MRX1140 does sound better due to the fact that it has toroidal power supply. Toroidal power supplies can deliver more current and are quieter. This type of power supply also allows the DACs to do a better job, so the MRX1140 will sound a little sweeter and smoother with better dynamics as well over the MRX740. The MRX1140 adds another feature we really like. While the MRX740 and MRX540 both have two subwoofer outputs, they are in parallel and all adjustments apply the same to each one. The MRX1140 has two independent sub outputs. When you run ARC, each sub will be calibrated individually, plus you can adjust level and phase separately for each sub. If you're building a full-blown Dolby Atmos home theater with 11 or more speakers, the MRX1140 is a fantastic choice from both the sound and flexibility standpoint. It will cost less than adding a separate power amp or amps to the MRX740 to get 11 channels and will drive most speakers with ease. If you're in the design phase for your home theater or deciding how best to upgrade your current theater, you should definitely use our free home theater design tool at audioadvice.com. It will take the dimensions of your room and help you map out how many channels are ideal and locations of speakers and pretty much everything else you need to know for nailing your theater. When Anthem introduced the last MRX series almost 5 years ago, they became an instant Audio Advice favorite. The new models take everything great about the ones we loved and add better sound, streaming enhancements, great amp flexibility, upgraded ARC, and very cool web interface for setup. If you're considering moving all the way up to separates, check out our video on the Anthem processors and amplifiers that are linked in the description and also on audioadvice.com. As I mentioned earlier, if you decide to purchase your new Anthem pieces from Audio Advice, you will get the exclusive tips and tricks guide where I walk you through everything you need to know to get up and running fast, but also to implement a more detailed and expert setup. I hope this overview of the new Anthem receivers has given you some insight as to which is the best match for your home theater system. And if you have any questions at all, be sure to give us a call, chat with one of our home theater experts at audioadvice.com, or stop into one of our award-winning Raleigh or Charlotte stores. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on the latest home audio and home theater content. We'll see you next time.